Welcome back to Nightstand Coffee. I am Todd.
And I'm Jennifer.
And this is Season 2, Episode 3.
And we are calling this puppy, Just Because You Know It Doesn't Mean You Have to Tell Everybody.
That's right.
Because we're going to talk about when you share things with your spouse, keeping it quiet.
Yeah, and why that's important and why it might be especially important to men. And we'll get into that here in a little bit, but there are some housekeeping things we want to go over with you. Some news.
So finally, we have decided... Okay, that's old school. Finally, we decided to do an email address. We keep talking about it. And last night I was like, hey, why don't you do an email address? I'm like, okay. So Todd took care of that for us. So go ahead.
So now you can get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. If you have ideas for an episode
or questions
or questions for us or
feedback,
whatever.
Yes.
You want to just drop us a line and say hello, whatever it might be. We want to hear from you.
So tell them the email address, sweetheart. That was the point of that. I was throwing it at you so you could tell them.
See, I missed the cue.
You did. It's nighttime, folks.
Yeah.
The sun is down, so Todd is asleep almost.
So this email address is exactly what you think it is. nightstandcoffee@gmail.com.
Luckily, no one else had that.
That's right.
Sometimes you have a hard time finding it.
There's no 1, there's no 0, there's no 2, 4.
It's just straight up.
It's nightstandcoffee@gmail.com.
Yeah. Hook us up. So send us an email and let us know if you have any questions. Because we want to make sure that we're talking about things that you care about. So we don't want to just get here and tell dumb stories and laugh at each other.
Although that's pretty fun.
I mean, we enjoy it.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that we are telling things and talking about things that matter to you. So please drop us an email if there's something that you have questions about or comments, or maybe we stir something up for you in the episode that you want to, comment on. Because sometimes people...
The subject of the email is "You ruined my marriage."
Well, I hope not. But maybe you're sitting there and you feel you catch yourself wanting to talk back to your AirPods, and so here's your opportunity.
That's right.
Talk back to us. So we want to hear about it.
We will listen.
Absolutely. So I think that's the only housekeeping thing we had.
Okay.
For the most part. So what prompted this actually? So Todd sent me, I guess it was a reel. And it was. Okay, so it was a pretty long segment, actually. And it was a preaching segment.
Yeah.
And the dude was dressed kind of, I don't know, this is probably early 90s. Wouldn't you think? It wasn't recent.
I don't know when it was.
Okay, wake up, sweetheart. I don't have any coffee for you.
I mean...
Look alive.
I was only concerned with the content. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what the guy was wearing in the clip.
All right.
So.
It looked old to me, whatever, but it was good stuff. It was good content. And so basically he was talking about the difference between men and women when they're sharing their feelings with each other. And so I think it's super valid, and I definitely see it in my practice. And so I wanted us to discuss that here.
Yeah.
So his point was talking about how women are pretty robust when it comes to talking about their feelings.
Yeah.
We have quite a large vocabulary of it.
Right.
We can talk about it in a range of words.
And it seems to, this is, of course, this is the generality, and, it doesn't...
may not be applying to everyone.
Right. It doesn't apply to everybody. But as a general rule, women tend to be much more comfortable talking about their feelings and have a whole lot more experience talking about their feelings than men do. It's just part of the experience of being a woman, I think. You could speak to that. I'm not a woman. So.
Well, it's way more socially acceptable to talk about your feelings as a woman than it is about a man, for a man. Well, and I know I've mentioned this before, I specifically remember my mother coming to me, when we were having, emotions as a teenager and a child, and said, well, put your finger on it. Mm-hmm. Try to put your finger on what you're feeling. Let's spend some time and figure out what you're feeling. Right. And so then that's probably why I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
And so,
and psychologists and sociologists would tell you that has to do with the mothering instinct somewhat. And there's good biological reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of that, there are biological reasons and, that men may not lean into their feelings as readily, when in a more primitive culture where there's, danger and men are responsible for, protecting and those kinds of things, emotions get pushed to the back burner because it's I've got to fight off this bear or, whatever.
Right.
While women were instinctively protecting the children, all those kinds of things. And that instinct is very, that nurturing thing is very tied to emotions, very akin to the emotions.
Right.
And so there are reasons that this phenomenon occurs in our culture, but that doesn't mean that we should just accept it as this is the way that it is and always has to be. And,
Right.
you know,
Well, and so like, I don't think anyone ever said to me, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about.
oh, I definitely heard that.
You did?
Yeah.
A lot?
I don't know about a lot, but I mean, I definitely remember my dad telling us that, like, stop that crying or I'll give you something to cry about, for sure.
That sounds crazy to me. Like I probably was told like you don't need like you need to settle down or like you don't need to be crying. But I was never threatened that if I didn't get my emotions under control, it was going to get worse for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever recall that happening ever. And so I might have been sent to my room to like get to handle things. Like
Well, and I would say, in all fairness to my dad, if I had been a girl, he probably would never have said that to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we may have said this before too. I remember a time, I think we did talk about it, but I remember a time with the girls, our girls were definitely having emotional breakdowns. I don't remember which one it was, but there was one of them laying in the hallway, just bawling their eyes out.
I think it was Coco.
Well, we don't need to call names.
Sorry.
I don't remember which child it was. I honestly don't remember which child it was, but somebody was. And they were laying in the hallway crying, and you right outside the bathroom door, and you open the bathroom door coming out of the bathroom.
Yes.
And you look up at me and make eye contact. And I was like, just step over her and walk away. And you're like, okay. So, and so like we allow emotions to happen because they're emotions, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know that it's true necessarily for men.
No.
And I definitely find it to be challenging in blue collar environments. Like it's just not okay to talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
It seems that there's 3 feelings that men are allowed to have. I think you can have anger.
Uh-huh.
And you can be happy.
Yep.
And maybe sad if someone dies.
Maybe.
Would you add any more feelings to that?
No.
That are acceptable. Okay. Would you say that's true outside of a blue collar environment?
No.
Is it not true outside of blue collar?
No.
So outside of this area of the country, you can have other feelings?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, I think that is generally true of men of all stripes.
Okay.
Right? So white collar, blue collar, no collar, whatever.
You can't have feelings.
Yeah.
These are the 3 that are acceptable.
These are the 3 that are acceptable.
Okay. And so talk about that. Why do you think?
Well, because they tend to be more masculine feelings. Sadness is only allowed, right, in when
Sad,
it is
acceptable.
when it is obviously appropriate to be sad.
Maybe so
right?
if you get dumped by a girlfriend or a wife, people will let you cry.
But even then,
not for very long.
Not for very long, and the other men in your circle will be very uncomfortable with it. They will try to talk you out of it very quickly. Okay. Come on, dude, let's go, do
Shoot
whatever.
Something.
Yeah, like, you don't need her, blah, 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 okay. Whatever. It's like, we are not comfortable with that. And certainly no one...
Oh, kick the table.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah. Certainly no one is... I can't say no one. I don't want to make...
Uncommon?
Well, I don't want to make absolute statements, but yeah, it would be very uncommon for someone in a guy friend group, if that were happening, to go, oh man, how do you feel about that? Let's talk about it. You okay? Yeah. How you doing? It does. I won't say that it doesn't happen. It does happen from time to time, but that is not typical.
Well, I think that it should happen.
Sure, absolutely.
How about you talk about that from a male perspective? Because clearly I'm going to think that A, as a clinician, B, as a woman. So why do you think that should happen?
Because...
It's healthy.
Yeah, because we need to express those things and we need to work through those things. And, that's how you heal. That's how you get healthy. That's how, that's how you avoid destructive things. The cliches of guys going and just drinking themselves, into oblivion over a woman or
stress at work.
Yeah, or they, just get mad and go get in fights, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the traits of toxic masculinity, all of that stuff is a result of men not having a healthy outlet for their feelings and for their emotions, and then not having vocabulary to even put with it.
Right. And so while it may not be common, it's definitely a good thing if it were to happen.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say this, in all fairness, I think it is more common in people who are younger than us.
Yeah.
Than it is in, our generation and maybe even the generation right behind us. So,
we're millennials. So Gen Zers, and then I forget what's after us.
I'm an X.
Oh yeah. So we're both Gen X. You're right. So it's millennials and then Gen Zers. Those two are do pretty good at it.
Yeah. And with millennials, probably it even depends on if you're an older millennial or younger.
Yeah.
Older millennials would tend to be more closed with their feelings than younger ones, but yeah, so it is changing. I'm not certain of the reasons that it's changing sometimes, or if anyway, that's a whole other discussion maybe. But
so then how that impacts marriage is that I think so you come into a marriage and a woman is expecting that her husband is going to be her best friend. And so she's wanting to talk and share about her feelings. Mm-hmm. And so she comes in and she wants to talk about how she feels about things.
And a man is expecting that his wife is going to be his best friend, which means we're not going to talk about that crap. We're just going to go have fun together. We're going to go do things. We're going to, whatever his hobbies are. We're going to go fishing together, or we're going to go, be
hunting.
On the bowling league, or we're gonna, go to basketball games, and whatever. It's like we're gonna watch football together on Sunday, and we're never gonna talk about
anything
what's bothering us. Yeah,
right. And so then you get in these environments, and so then what happens is the wife is wanting to talk. And she's got this massive vocabulary of feelings, and she's able to talk about it and wants to come in. And so she comes to her husband and she says, "Hey, let's talk about this. Is how I feel. How do you feel?" And what does he say?
I don't know.
Exactly. Now, I don't know can mean two things. One, legit, I don't know.
Right. Or I don't want to talk about it.
No. Well, maybe. So then three things. The third one can be I'm buying time to figure out how I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the I don't know is I need a second to figure that out.
Right.
And so then often you hear I don't know, and they're kind of processing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know could be go away, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And so sometimes you need to give your spouse time to think about what their feelings are. Right? But that's probably an advanced skill. We'll get to that a little bit later. So I want to set the stage here a little bit, because really what came out of that clip that's I'm wanting to cover here is about confidentiality.
Okay.
And about, we need to talk about how to get the vocabulary going here. And so that part, but we also need to talk about when your spouse opens up, both male and female, the husband and the wife, when the sharing starts to flow, what happens with that? Okay. So I want to set the stage, because what happens is the woman really, really, really wants to talk about stuff. Yes. So she comes over and she wants to tell her husband about everything, wants to ask about his day, wants to share about his feelings, and then she wants to hear about his feelings. And he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, because maybe he doesn't know.
Right. That would have been me.
Yeah.
Like, I was pretty closed off from my feelings, I think, when we first got married.
Yeah.
And if I said I don't know, it was legitimately because I could not identify the feeling I was having.
Right. And so then I'm like, me as the wife, then I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Right. And so then I try to push you to get more information, because that's what my mom would have done. Let's try to put your finger on it. Let's figure out what you're feeling. Right. Then you get irritated at me because I'm not leaving you alone, because like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I leave that conversation disappointed because I didn't get the information that I want, because I'm wanting to connect with you emotionally. So then I go call my girlfriends or my mom, but call my girlfriends and I say, well, I just can't get him to connect. Like, he just won't talk to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dealing with this. And then you start complaining about what's going on in your marriage.
Yeah.
Often it's more than one girlfriend, right? It's usually a group. Maybe you're hanging out socially. You've got a group of, 5 or 6 friends that you're complaining about. And so then...
Or complaining too.
Complaining too, yeah. Yes, thank you. You're complaining about your husband to this group of friends, right? So let's fast forward just a little bit, because we'll get to skill set in a second. But let's say that You're having you finally get your husband to tell you something. Like he finally opens up about something and tells you just a little bit of nugget of something, right?
Yeah.
And
and then you go tell your friends.
You just beat me to the conversation.
Oh.
Yeah. Stop. So you get so excited that you get this nugget. Like you're like, oh, he finally gave me something. I'm so excited. He finally shared something with me. And so like you cannot wait to celebrate that you got this nugget of information that you immediately go and tell your 5 or 6 friends, oh, he finally opened up to me. Listen to what he told me. And you're so excited that you got this thing that you want to tell your friends because they've been on this journey with you about, I get nothing from my husband.
Yeah. And your husband your husband's reaction to that will be,
I'm never
I trusted her,
again.
and the first thing she did was run and tell her friends about it.
Because a few things too. For the wife, whatever that nugget was, it wasn't that deep to her. Like, cause whatever it was surfacey to her because it wasn't that. Because she's ready to go all the way to her soul, right? And so for her, whatever it was, it didn't sound that deep to her because she's already feeling all the feels. It sounded like it was right on the surface. It was like basically to her, it's like telling what her favorite M&M flavor is, right? But to the husband, it felt like something really deep because he doesn't ever talk about anything.
Yeah.
And so when she goes and tells, and she thinks she's talking about M&Ms, he's like talking about something really important.
Right.
And so then he immediately makes an inner vow and says, I'll never do that again.
So here's the thing. So in a male friend group, there's a tendency to to poke at the other guy's weaknesses. It's just what we do.
It's not nice.
It creates bonds. It's a weird deal how it creates bonds between men. Now there is a point at which it's ruthless and it's hurtful. But anyway, my point being that in a male friend group, there's always a pecking order. And you want to establish dominance, so to speak, right? You want to be the alpha in the group. And so vulnerability can take you down the pecking order, right? It can, and it's not just in friend groups. And in friend groups, maybe the only place sometimes that you get a reprieve from that. But in the workplace, like advancement in the workplace, advancement in the social order, all of those things for men are predicated on strength, by and large, right? I got to be smarter than you. I got to be stronger. I got to be faster. I got to be, more efficient. I've got to be more productive. I've got to be, and so we do not expose vulnerability because it feels like a risk for us. It feels dangerous because it could prevent me from attaining the thing that I need, which is part of the provider protector thing. Like if I can make more money, right? If I can get this advancement, if I can be bigger, faster, stronger, all that stuff, then I can take care of my family. I can take care of my wife. And so in some ways it comes from a good place. Like the motivation is good, but the result is not so good. Especially in terms of when we bring that same kind of thinking home and then are afraid to open up to our wives, right? Then we feel closed off to them as well. And we create an environment where they feel, even if we don't intend for them to, like they feel like that we're in opposition to them or we're in competition with them or...
Well, and then, so if this friend group that you've shared this nugget with, go home and tell their spouse, and that spouse, those spouses are in the same friend group as her spouse, then this pecking order thing happens, right? Then they come and they go, oh, I heard that you're afraid of ducks. Right. Right. And so then now he's getting chastised and made fun of for his intimate detail that he shared with his wife. And he's like, yeah, forget that. Never again. Never again. And so then she's ruined this dynamic that she has longed for by not keeping her mouth shut.
Yeah.
And so, like, she doesn't know that she hasn't intended that at all. She doesn't think she's oversharing something because being afraid of ducks isn't that big a deal to her. But it was really something he held dear and, like, did not feel comfortable sharing.
You know, the thing that's coming to my mind is the story of Goliath, right? Not Goliath, sorry, Samson and Delilah. I don't know, it was Goliath with the giant. No, Samson and Delilah, right? How, and, you know, I'm not trying to exonerate Samson for lying, but how many times did, like, Delilah have to come to him before he was actually willing to be vulnerable and share with him? And then...
he was kind of stupid.
Yes, he was.
He kept falling for it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things we could pull out of that story. But the point being, like, he was hesitant, didn't want to tell her, didn't want to share with her, didn't want to, you know. And then when he does, she, like, demolishes him with it.
Yeah.
That is the core fear of a man. Mm-hmm. That when we open ourselves up, when we share our tender places, when we turn, that soft underbelly is exposed, that someone is going to gut us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I already have been making it a rule in marriage counseling to say, like, listen, what happens in this room has to stay in this room, because if not, no healing will take place.
Right.
Because, like, we have to, if the husband or the wife, but really it's for the husband, if there's things that are shared here, this can't leave.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it leaves, we're done. We're done. And so, like, it's, the wife cannot share these things or you will get nothing.
Yeah. You know, and here's the reality. Your husband may be strong in every other area of his life, and he may feel strong in every other area of his life, but this is weakness. And it is a big deal for a man to expose his weaknesses. Mm-hmm. In fact, like, I mean, when a man becomes emotionally secure enough to share his weaknesses openly, that's a healthy man.
Yeah.
But you've got to give him time to get there.
Yes. And be a safe place to do that.
Yes.
And so when he tells you that he's afraid of ducks, don't laugh at that.
Yeah.
Even if it feels silly. Like, don't laugh at that. Be a safe place to hear that. Be reassuring about that. You know, be kind about that. Mm-hmm. And then be appreciative that he shared that he's afraid of ducks.
Yeah.
Because that was hard. Because nobody may know that he's afraid of ducks.
Right.
But now you do. And he trusted you with that.
Yeah.
Be trustworthy in that.
Yeah. And if his friends find out, the next time they see him, they're going to quack, quack. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's going to be a thing.
Because men are mean. That's not nice.
Well,
you should talk to your friends about being nicer to each other. That's not okay.
People can be mean.
Well, I talk to my friends about being nice too.
Okay.
So anyway, I think you've got to be really mindful about that. Now, I will say, if she wants to celebrate with her friends that he's opening up, that's okay. Just don't share what's being opened up about.
Yeah.
You know, you can say, like, oh, he finally shared some things with me. I'm so excited. I'm not going to tell you because I want to protect his privacy. But guys, I'm so excited that I'm seeing a shift in our marriage. He started to share with me, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's an okay thing to do. Mm-hmm. But just protect the details, because otherwise you won't get any more.
Right.
I think that's really, really huge. And I also then want to go next to when you talk to your parents about things. I don't think I was very good about this. I definitely talked to my parents about things.
Indeed you did.
I talked to your mom about things.
Indeed you did.
I thought it was safe to call your mom because she's your mom. I was like, you know what your son was doing, right?
Yeah.
And so, because I thought it felt safer because she's still going to love you when I'm done complaining about whatever I was complaining about, right? And so, I think one thing I think that I did that I wish I hadn't done was I would call and complain. Because I just would run my mouth, right? Like, he did this, and he did that, and he didn't do that, and blah, 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 right? Because I just need to get off my chest. Well, then, you and I would work things out, and then my mom, or your mom, I think, would say, okay, how are, everything okay? And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're good now.
Yeah.
And so then I wouldn't give them how we were good. I'd say, oh, yeah, we worked everything out. It's good. Well, yeah, that's good that we worked things out. But, like, now they're just holding my anger and frustration, and they didn't have a chance to work it out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what I was sitting here thinking. Like, you're just going to poison the water, you know? Like, when you talk to your mom about me, well, then you poison the water in terms of your mom's opinion of me, right? You taint that relationship.
Yeah.
When you when you would go and talk to my mom, well, that poisons the well a little bit in your relationship. Like she, because she's my mom, she would be protective of her son, that kind of thing. And so
she was pretty reasonable though.
Well, my mom is pretty reasonable, but I'm just saying, like, there's never a good effect. There's never a good result with that. Like,
but I guess really what I was wanting to get at is like you kind of spew, or at least I definitely would spew all the stuff. And then when it was worked out, I didn't need to talk about how it got worked out. And so then they got the spew, but they didn't get the details of the workout, like how it all got worked out. And so then they're still just holding the anger and frustration. And so then they didn't get the details of how it got worked out. And so then they're just holding these things, And so it's like, I think as a parent, I'm going to work hard at, if that happens, if our girls, are running their mouths, I'm going to do my best to be very non-biased in that. And then also to understand that I may not hear how it gets solved, but I'm going to discourage the mouth running too, right?
Right.
And so because it's just not healthy.
Yeah. Well, and as a spouse, as a married person, your first responsibility is to the person you're married to protect them, to care for them, to look out for their reputation, to look out for, and so like, these aren't things that we should be sharing outside of that relationship.
Yeah.
Not without permission and not without, well, I guess just that, like, there should be an agreement, like what we share and what we don't share. And then just exercising wisdom and caution. Like, I should be mindful of saying anything about you publicly that would cast you in a bad light, that would make you look poorly, or that would indicate to somebody that that I have a low opinion of you, or I'm angry, like that. Those are private things. Those are things that we should hold for each other. And that's part of protecting each other. And, I even think, in Christ with the church, it says that, and this is in the whole section about husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might present her to himself, a bride, without spot or wrinkle, glorious, right? Without spot or wrinkle. And so my motivation and my, as a husband, my goal and my aim should be to present you to the world as glorious, without spot or wrinkle, and so that means holding some things as sacred and protecting them.
Well, and I really hadn't planned to go this route, but I think it falls under the title, but to talk a little bit about gossip. I think that gossip is a hard thing to describe, like to really understand what it means to gossip. But I think I have a few like kind of definitions that I try to work on. And so part of it is like, is it my story to tell? Right? Like, is it my place to tell the story? If I'm involved in it, like if it didn't happen to me, like, am I one of the players in this story? Like, is it my story to tell? I think that's always a question that I ask if I'm talking about something. And then also ask the question, why do I want to tell it? Why am I talking about this? And so I think that there's two options for that. One is, am I telling this because I want that person to get on my side and go, oh, you're right, that person's terrible.
I can't believe you said that. Yeah.
Right. If I'm telling the story because I want them on my side and to agree with me, that's not a reason to tell it.
Right.
If I'm telling the story to the person because I need some help working through these feelings that I'm having, then it's okay to talk about it. But I don't need to be talking about it to everybody I've met. Like I don't need 30 people to help me work through my feelings. Right. I need to find that one or two people that I really trust, that I feel connected to, and that are wise, and say, hey, I'm struggling with this happened and I'm struggling with these feelings. Can you help me? And if that's my motivation to talk, that's who I need to talk to about it. But if I'm looking to like get somebody on my side and say, can you believe? Then I need to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that is, and this is true with our spouse as well, because, sometimes we'll want to go and rally somebody else to our our cause and say, get them on our side, how terrible my husband is or how terrible my wife is. Can you believe she did that? When we truly are going to someone for counsel to try and work out and work through our feelings so that we can respond properly, well, I can talk about my feelings without ever smearing you. Right?
Yeah.
I can talk about a situation in ways that don't dishonor you. Even if you're obviously in the wrong, I can still choose my words in ways that don't smear you or make you look like the bad guy or the villain. And I think that's part of the problem sometimes in this is that we can see our spouse as the villain and as the bad guy. And I know that's maybe more in line with talking about when we're fighting than it is talking about our emotions. But those things then trickle into all these other conversations. If your husband, because we're talking about the husbands not being willing to share their emotions. If your husband knows that not only are you talking about these things to your friends, but when you do it in such a way as to make your husband look bad or belittle him or shame him in some way. And let's not even, that's not even talking about the times that maybe you've publicly shamed him with him in the room, and that then will infect and inform his response to every request for you to talk about his feelings.
Yeah. So we're not done because I want to talk about sharing about your day and then also some skills on how to get information. But I do want to insert some homework here.
Okay.
So I would encourage you to have a conversation with your spouse about the wives to ask your husband, is one of the reasons you don't share your feelings with me because you're afraid I'm going to talk about them.
Okay.
If you feel like this is a challenge for your relationship, I want you to have a specific conversation and say, do you ever worry about me sharing your feelings with somebody? Is that part of the barrier for you talking to me about your feelings? And so have a conversation.
Yeah. And so what's the follow-up question if he says no?
And say, what's your problem?
Okay.
Then why are we talking about your feelings then? I'm teasing.
Well, yeah. And because I think the conversation goes different directions,
sure.
Depending on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Depending on whether he answers yes or no. If he answers yes, then I think then you have to say, what can I do to give you the assurance that I won't do that? Right? How can I make our conversation safe?
True. And I think you could even say, can you give me an example of a time that I did that? Because the wife may not even be aware that she just done it. Because it may just feel so benign to her that she just is not even aware of it. Or she may know when she did, right? But maybe she needs to ask for an example because he's probably hanging on to one if it's happened. And so, and then if she has, apologize for that, and then talk about what you can do differently. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's a conversation. If he says no, it's not. Why? It's probably because he doesn't know what his feelings are.
Maybe so.
And so try to ask that. So then, okay, then the wife would say, hey, I still feel like we don't talk about your feelings. So can we talk about why that is?
Yeah.
And so do your best, husband, to be able to give your reason why, try to spend some time, put your finger on it. Why it is that you don't feel comfortable sharing your feelings.
Yeah.
And maybe it is a vocabulary thing. Maybe it is you just don't have the words for that. That's
right.
Okay. It's common. We can figure that out. We can put words to those things.
And if you're
here's my number. Call me.
If you're
up.
a husband that's listening to this and maybe you're thinking, oh, I don't want to sit around and talk about my feelings all the time. Well, here's the thing. You're not going to. It's not going to be every conversation.
Oh, that's true.
It's not going to be every conversation that you have. It's not. And actually, I think what you'll find is that it will lead to other significant, deeper conversations that you'll be really interested in having, but you just haven't even opened the door yet.
Right. You're not going to start wearing flowers in your hair and sitting Indian style and talking about your feelings all the time. That doesn't happen when you start.
You might.
Maybe not likely, right? But you don't morph into this hippie where you're just
right. And you're not gonna, you're not gonna start breaking down and crying in the break room at work, or
Right.
you know, yeah.
But I mean, like, I'll tell you what though, like with the men that I've worked with, and like the start connecting with their feelings, like they're new men, right? And so they feel lighter. You know, they approach life differently.
Yeah.
And they're appreciative of that. You know, and so like it's a different world, and
Yeah.
they love it.
Well, and look, if you look at the scriptures, especially the Psalms, the gamut of human emotion is on display there. Freely talked about, freely poured out before God, freely like expressed, like, you know, that it is part and parcel to living as people on this planet.
Well, we
And-
were made in God's image.
Yeah.
God has all these emotions, right? Yeah.
And I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I feel like maybe I have, but it bears repeating, even if I have. I think it was Brene Brown that I heard talking about when we try to numb our emotions, and when we are disconnected from our emotions and we numb things, that not only does that keep us from experiencing the negative emotions, it also numbs the positive emotions as well. And so then you live in this very limited, narrow existence that where you don't really ever feel the fullness of joy. And so, yeah, you might protect yourself from feeling more sad than you would like to sometimes, but you also are cutting yourself off from joy. You're cutting yourself off from all of the, and we need to, and it's healthy for us to experience that full gamut of those emotions. And I can say this with certainty. I am a stronger and more secure man at this point in my life, and I am more comfortable talking about how I feel than I ever have been. And I don't think that those two things are exclusive. I think they are connected. I think that they are inextricably linked to each other.
I feel like I need to apologize for saying, I think I might have been offensive. I need to say crisscross applesauce sitting.
Okay.
I'm distracted by that. And so we do this in one take. And so I don't want me to be offensive in what I said, how they would sit as a hippie.
Okay.
So I need to say that.
All right.
So to shift the mood, I apologize, but I'm like, I may have been offensive earlier.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I think we need to talk about having the ability to have the conversation and like for the wife to know how to leave space to talk about feelings.
Yeah.
And how to do that. And so, because what I've seen happen is that the wife pounces if they get any kind of feeling, they pounce on it. And so, the husband needs some space to talk about feelings, some quiet time.
Yeah. And I could think of for myself, and if you've listened to this show, you probably can tell, I sometimes take a long time to respond. I have to really choose my words, think about what I want to say, and especially when we first got married, that drove Jennifer nuts.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
Like there would be a long pregnant pause while I was trying to choose my words, and she would jump into the silence and spit it out, and
or do a hand motion, get it out. Come on.
Yeah, you guys can't see, but she's doing her hands in circles hurry. And it would infuriate me because I was trying really hard to connect with my feelings, tell her what was on my mind, and figure out what was really going on with me, and then number two, choose the right words to express it. And she got impatient in those moments, and it would sometimes just stop the communication, and that would be my fault because I would just shut down. I'd be like, fine.
Well, but I was equally at fault that I wasn't patient enough to wait on you and give you that space. I mean, and then to be fair, we got married before I was done training and counseling and learned that you have to give people space to to talk about it. And I can think fast on my feet. And so then it was come on. Why are we, get to it. Why is this taking so long? Because that it didn't take me long to get to my feelings, right? And
Right. Well, and I
so
would
is it
say-
maturity on my part?
I would say that there are a lot of arenas in which I'm very quick.
True.
You
That's
know,
true.
like,
You can come up with a word that no one will understand very fast.
well, and I'm pretty quick with one-liners and that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
It's not that my brain is not working. It's that I'm really working hard at, like, what's the right word here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that sometimes is a little more challenging.
Sure. And so what they teach us as a therapist is to you have to give space for them to come up with it. And sometimes the space gets uncomfortable. So the quietness. So you need to give your husband enough space and quietness, uncomfortable quietness, for him to come up with a word.
Yeah.
So you need to sit in the stillness and let him talk, like let him think, let him marinate, right? And so don't ask 5 questions in that space. He's still thinking about the first one. And so give a little space and ask him, hey, do you need some more time to think about this? Like, make sure that he hasn't gone in his nothing box and like moved on to something else. But ask him, are you thinking about this question I just asked you? Do you need some time to think about it?
Yeah.
And give him the opportunity to answer. Because if you don't do that, if you keep throwing questions at him, like it's going to overwhelm him, and he's
Yeah.
going to go, I don't want to do this.
Right.
Because like this is what he feared, that I'm going to have to keep talking about these feelings over and over, and I don't want to do this because this feels hard.
Yeah.
And so then you won't get what you need. And so then ask the question, give some space, even if it feels uncomfortable. Wait past that uncomfortable moment and see if he shares with you.
Yeah.
Kind of go with that.
That's good.
And so then I wanted to talk about, we talked about this last night, about when the husband comes home from work, he's carrying a heavy load, and he's like over it, doesn't want to share with his wife because he doesn't want her to have to carry it with him. Like, like, I don't want to burden her with this. Doesn't talk to her about it, but then it's on his mind all night. And so how that impacts the relationship. So what would you like to say about that?
Well, so I would say the thing that comes to mind, first of all, is that in the beginning, when God creates Adam and Eve, so God brings all the animals to Adam, and Adam names all of the animals. And then it says, among all of creation, no suitable helper was found for Adam. And so then God puts Adam into a deep sleep, takes one of his ribs, and forms Eve from the rib of the man, and then brings her to him as a suitable helper for him. Your wife was divinely designed to be your help, right? To be your helper. And so you're not, when you try to protect her from those things, you're also preventing her from fulfilling the role that God has designed for her to fill. And so then, which creates distance, destroys intimacy in your relationship, or certainly doesn't feed into intimacy in your relationship, both emotionally and physically. Because if your wife doesn't feel connected to you emotionally, she's not going to want to connect to you physically.
Right.
And then you're going to be wanting to connect to her physically, but you're not connected to her emotionally. And so she's not going to be open to that. I mean, it creates all kinds of problems because we're not living in the design that God intended from the beginning.
So, but what about the aspect of the husband has been at work all day long dealing with whatever stressful situation it is, and he would like to come home and not have to think about it.
And just decompress, not talk about it, not have to think about it, just, eat dinner, sit in front of the TV, whatever.
Okay, so how do you manage that part?
I think you give space for it. I think as the wife, that the best thing a wife could do is say, hey, I can tell you've had a hard day. I can tell something's bothering you. I'm ready to talk about it whenever you are, but I'm not going to push you. But
how long do you let that go on?
Until he's ready to talk about it.
Well, what if it takes 3 weeks?
It might.
Oh, I don't know about that. That feels like a really long time to let that go, because that's a really long time for the wife to feel that distance from her husband when he's not talking about what's going on.
Well, but what I would say is that if as the wife you will create that kind of environment where he feels like that you understand, then he's gonna talk more quickly.
Well, let's apply this to our marriage.
Okay.
You really think I could let you go 3 weeks and not talk about whatever's bothering you?
You could let me, or you would let me? Those are not the same.
Well, but think about that. Like, I mean, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
Okay. So, because I don't know that I could be comfortable in that distance. That would...
Well, so then the part of this thing, though, is that I would say, yeah, it's the responsibility of the husband. I mean, it's not, that we're not exonerated in that. It's responsibility of the husband then to go, okay, I can't just sit on this forever. This is something that we need to talk about, but maybe not as soon as he gets home from work,
Yeah. Well, like, I know, like, you've been carrying some stuff, and so then I have encouraged you, go sit in the woods.
Yeah.
Try to shoot a deer. And so, like, I know that you enjoy that, and like that's a good place for you to decompress. And so I have encouraged that, but I also want you to be able to talk to me about things.
Right.
And so, I have a hard time thinking that you need to let a long time go.
Well, and
I threw out 3 weeks, but I mean, like,
and we have to have consideration for each other,
Okay.
So the wife's response should be to create that space and give the husband some room to breathe, and the husband's obligation and response should be to say, okay, I need to talk about this with my wife, and to not just let it sit and not just sweep it under the rug, and not, because we need to carry each other's burdens, and we need to support each other and create, and so, and I feel like always it comes back to, if I consider my spouse first before myself, if I think of you first before I think of myself, and it's easy for us as husbands to convince ourselves that we're not telling our wives because we're thinking of her.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
That's not the case, right? Either that, or we're thinking wrongly of her, because what we're thinking is she's not able to handle this. This is too much for her, and we're way underestimating our wives in that regard. In fact, if we go all the way back to the beginning of our conversation where we talked about how that women are more emotionally robust than men,
Yeah.
she's probably more equipped to handle how you're feeling about things than you are.
Yeah. True. And honestly, she may be the one that can build you up when you need to be built up.
Well, hopefully
Right.
she would.
And so then, and she can like go, oh, I'm so mad that they're doing that to you. I can't believe that they're treating you this way, blah, 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 blah. And so she can be that junior high mean girl at home to say, I can't believe they're saying that. I'm going to, and like pump you up in that way. Right. And defend you and be that voice of encouragement to you, in ways that you can't get other places.
Or if there's a problem you can't solve, especially if it's a relational problem with coworkers on a team. Let's say you're the boss and you have somebody that's a problem on the team, and like your wife is probably more like intuitively equipped to resolve those kinds of things than you are. And so like if you'll just talk to her about it, like, man, she might have the answer that you need.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that.
Hey, you're welcome.
That's nice. That took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while. Yeah. So I appreciate you considering that would be something that you could gain from your wife. And so those are important things. So I think this is a long one. So what would you want to say, like, to wrap this up? Anything else that you'd want to add to this part of the conversation?
Well,
that we haven't said.
I don't know that I would add anything. I think I would just come back to the understanding that, like, the full experience of human emotions is divinely created and ordained, and that there's a healthy way to express all of them.
Yeah.
And that living a full life requires us to do that. So if you're a man who is limited in the expression of your emotions, or you felt like it's not safe to do that, maybe that was what was communicated to you from your dad or from men in your life when you were younger, that emotion was weakness and all of that. Like, you need to break agreement with that lie.
Right.
And understand that your wife, that God placed her in your life, that the uniqueness of the marriage relationship is part of that is that it's created for that purpose, for you to be able to bear your heart and know that it's going to be held safely.
Well, and I would even go so far to say is that when you can start sharing your feelings with one another, I think that's really the impetus of healing a marriage.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think that that's when things heal and change.
Yeah.
And so if that's the crutch of the issue.
Well, share them with vulnerability. It's one thing for me to
That's a good point.
It's one thing for me to rage because I'm angry at something that you did.
Yeah.
You know, it's another thing for me to be able to have self-control and say, "Hey, that is not okay.
That hurt my feelings."
Yeah, that made me angry. You know, that's fine.
Or
even
I'm feeling disappointed.
I'm really mad right now.
Yeah,
you know?
like there's other words besides that. Let's get some other words for a man to use. So like I'm really hurt by that.
Yeah.
Like I'm really sad. I'm feeling really dismissed when
Yeah.
like I'm feeling overlooked.
That's insulting to me.
Yeah. Like I feel like you don't care about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I feel like you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
You know, man, all the things. Or I'm feeling really happy that you notice these things.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling valued. You know, I really felt respected when like they're sharing that stuff. Man, those are good things. And so like if this
I felt really proud to be your husband today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good one. And so if these are things you're not saying to your spouse, then maybe it's hard for you to express your feelings. Get in therapy. Find somebody, go to counseling, find somebody to help you.
Yeah.
Like get familiar with those feelings and those words so that you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can start with your wife, see if you guys can get the flow going, right? And if it still feels challenging, it's okay. Go get somebody to help you do it. And then grow in that and see what it does to your relationship.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll close with that.
All right.
So, just because you know it doesn't mean you have to tell everyone.
That's right.
See you next time.